A strong woman leaves only after giving her all. She is not impulsive, nor is she ruled by fleeting emotions. When she enters a relationship, she does so with her whole heart. She builds with intention, loves with depth, and forgives with a generosity that often surprises even herself. Her commitment is not casual, it is deliberate, rooted in the hope that love can be a space of safety, growth, and mutual respect. She listens, adapts, and tries, again and again, long past the point when others would have walked away. She absorbs the discomfort, navigates the silence, and keeps showing up, believing that things can be made right if both people are willing. But the thing about strong women is that their strength is not loud or showy. It's quiet, consistent, and often mistaken for passivity. Because she doesn't shout, people assume she isn't hurt. Because she stays, people believe she'll always stay. Her endurance is taken as dependence. Her loyalty is mistaken for weakness, and her kindness is abused, sometimes without intention, sometimes with it. But even as she hurts, she continues to try, because she believes in the potential of the person she loves, and she believes that love, when true, deserves the benefit of effort. Yet there comes a moment. It doesn't arrive like a thunderclap or a dramatic storm. It's quiet, like the last click of a door closing. After all the conversations, after all the second chances, after all the inner wars between staying and leaving, she begins to feel the hollowness that silence can't hide anymore. She starts to realize that her presence is not being valued, that her words are not being heard, and that her sacrifices are being absorbed without recognition. And when a woman like this begins to emotionally detach, it's not a threat, it's a shift. A change that, once it begins, can't be undone. By the time she walks away, she is already gone in spirit. She has grieved the relationship while still in it. She has mourned the future she envisioned and accepted that it will not come to be. She does not leave hoping to be chaste. She does not leave as a tactic. She leaves because she finally understands that staying is no longer strength. It is self, a trail, and in choosing to walk away, she reclaims herself. Not with bitterness, but with quiet resolution. The tragedy for many men is that they realize the depth of her value only when her absence is permanent. When they no longer hear her voice in the hallway or feel her presence in the spaces they once shared, they start to recognize that what they had wasn't ordinary. But by then, the woman who gave everything has already moved on, not just physically, but emotionally, spiritually, and mentally. And she doesn't look back, because a strong woman only leaves after giving her all. And when she's gone for good. Men often realize her value too late. It is a painful truth that is played out in countless relationships. When a woman gives deeply, her love, her patience, her time, it can become easy to take that presence for granted. Her care becomes routine, her support expected, and her forgiveness assumed. She becomes a steady presence, someone who holds things together, who smooths the rough edges and fills in the emotional gaps. Over time, that stability can be mistaken for something ordinary, even though it's anything but. Her quiet sacrifices blend into the background, unnoticed in the daily noise of life. At first, she forgives the small oversights. She shrugs off the emotional distance, tells herself he's just tired or distracted. She understands, she gives space, she adjusts. She wants to believe in the best version of the man she chose, and she holds onto the idea that things will return to the way they were. She speaks gently about her needs, hoping he'll hear the truth beneath her restraint. She believes that love should be patient and giving, so she keeps giving. But each time she is unheard, each time she is left emotionally alone, a small part of her begins to dim. The shift is gradual. She smiles less. Her words grow shorter. The sparkle that once lit up her face begins to fade. She no longer brings up the things that bother her, not because they've gone away, but because she no longer expects change. Inside, she begins to grieve, not just the relationship, but the parts of herself she's lost trying to hold it together. By the time she decides to walk away, she has already endured more than she ever should have. It's not a spontaneous decision. It's the result of countless disappointments, quiet heartbreaks, and unmet emotional needs. And it is only in the aftermath of her absence that the gravity of her presence begins to dawn on him. When the silence settles in, when the warmth is gone, when the texts stop coming and the home feels colder, he starts to feel the weight of everything he took for granted. He remembers how she used to encourage him, how she defended him when no one else did, how she stood by him in his lowest moments. He begins to see that her strength wasn't a given, it was a gift, and he had treated it like it would never run out. Regret sets in slowly but deeply. It comes in the quiet moments, the unwashed coffee mug she used, the scent of her shampoo on the pillow, the empty side of the bed. He realizes she wasn't asking for perfection, only effort. She wasn't expecting him to fix everything, only to meet her halfway. And now, without her, he starts to see the depth of the love he once had. But by then, it's too late, because the woman who gave him everything finally gave up. And that's when he finally understands what he lost. Regret stems from lost opportunity, not just lost love. When a woman walks away after giving everything, what often lingers in the heart of the man she left behind is not only the sorrow of losing her, but the overwhelming weight of what could have been. Love, while powerful, is just one part of the equation. Relationships are full of choices, and with each choice comes an opportunity. To listen, to grow, to appreciate, to change. When those moments are passed over, dismissed, or taken for granted, regret begins to take root, even before the relationship has ended. He looks back not just at her absence, but at all the moments he now realizes were invitations to be better. He recalls the times she opened up, sharing her feelings gently, hoping for partnership instead of silence. He remembers how she softened conflict with empathy, how she stayed when she could have walked away, how she created space for him to grow. And now, those moments no longer feel like just memories. They feel like missed doors he failed to walk through. He begins to understand that every time he shut down, every time he brushed her off, or chose his pride over vulnerability, he lost more than just a connection. He lost a chance to build something lasting. There's a particular pain in knowing you were given something rare and didn't handle it with care. That pain isn't just heartbreak, it's self-reproach. It's the sinking feeling that he could have been more present, more kind, more courageous. He sees now that her patience wasn't infinite, her kindness wasn't unconditional, and her willingness to stay was not a promise, but a gift she renewed every day, until the day she didn't. He didn't just lose her, he lost the version of himself he might have become if he had truly shown up for her. Lost opportunity carries a haunting weight because it's filled with the unknown. What might have happened if he had listened more? What would their relationship have looked like if he had chosen her, fully, in both words and action? Could they have grown old together, built something beautiful, faced the world as a team? These are the questions that circle in his mind long after she's gone. Not because he simply misses her, but because he misses the life he could have built with her. One that was within reach had he only seen it clearly. Regret doesn't live in the past, it bleeds into the present. Every new connection he tries to form feels like a reminder of what he let slip away. He searches for glimpses of her in others and comes up empty, not because no one else is good enough, but because what he lost was rooted in moments he can never reclaim. It wasn't just her love that mattered. It was the opportunity to rise to it, to meet it with equal strength and depth. That's the part that haunts him. That's the part he can't get back. Her absence reveals her true worth. While she was there, her presence felt constant, dependable, almost invisible in its reliability. She was the one who remembered the details, who showed up emotionally, who created the sense of home that everyone else lived in without realizing she was the architect. She gave so naturally, so fully, that the impact of her presence often went unnoticed, until the moment it was gone, and when she finally leaves, the emptiness she leaves behind is deafening. The silence becomes a mirror. It reflects not only the loss of her voice, her laughter, and her affection, but also the deeper absence of emotional grounding. The routines that once felt mundane suddenly feel hollow. The small gestures, The messages checking in, the way she paid attention to moods, the quiet way she offered support, now become glaring in their absence. It's not just that she's no longer there. It's that everything she touched now feels like it's missing its center. The house may still stand, but the warmth is gone. The conversations may continue, but the connection feels thinner. Without her, life doesn't just go on, it drags. The realization hits hardest when the little things begin to feel big. When he reaches for the phone and remembers there's no one on the other end who knows him like she did. When something good happens and he instinctively wants to tell her, only to remember that she's no longer part of that world. These moments come without warning and cut deeply. They're reminders that her presence was not only comforting but essential. She was the one who softened the rough days, celebrated the small wins, and carried emotional weight without ever announcing it. Men often struggle to articulate emotional loss, but they feel it intensely. Her absence becomes a disruption to their internal world. He may try to fill the void quickly, may distract himself with new faces or noise, but eventually the truth settles in. He didn't just lose a person. He lost a sense of safety, a depth of connection, and the quiet peace that only someone who truly sees you can offer. And the tragic part is that he often didn't realize how deeply she was embedded into his daily life until she was no longer part of it. In hindsight, her worth becomes undeniable. All the things she did out of love now shine with a clarity that only loss can provide. The comfort she offered, the sacrifices she made, and the loyalty she held on to for as long as she could. They all reveal themselves in stark relief against the silence she left behind. The space she once filled now feels too large, not because she was loud, but because she was essential. Her absence is not a quiet goodbye. It's a loud reminder that she mattered more than he ever allowed himself to admit. She leaves to protect her dignity, not to seek revenge. When a woman chooses to walk away from a relationship, it's rarely out of spite or as a tactic to cause pain. More often, it is a quiet, deliberate act of self-preservation. She walks away because staying would mean continuing to betray herself, tolerating neglect, disrespect, emotional indifference, or being constantly made to feel small. A woman who has loved deeply and endured much does not walk away easily. She walks when she knows that no amount of effort on her part can mend what the other person refuses to acknowledge or change. It is not an act of retaliation. It is the reclaiming of her worth. Throughout the relationship, she gave chances. She explained her feelings, softened her truth so it could be heard, and extended understanding even when it wasn't earned. She waited, hoping things would shift, hoping the person she loved would finally see her and value her. But over time, she began to see a pattern. Her pain dismissed, her needs minimized, her love taken for granted. She began to realize that love should not require the erosion of her spirit. So, she made the hardest decision, to walk away, not because she stopped loving, but because she started loving herself enough to stop accepting less. Leaving isn't a performance. It's not the beginning of a game where she hopes to be chased or proven wrong. She's not waiting for a dramatic gesture or a sudden change of heart. By the time she leaves, she has already cried the tears, asked the questions, and fought the internal battle between staying loyal and staying whole. Walking away is not about inflicting pain on the other person. It's about ending her own. It's about choosing peace over chaos, clarity over confusion, and respect over empty promises. There's a quiet strength in her exit. No drama, no bitterness, just distance. And yet, her absence speaks louder than any words could. Some may misinterpret her silence as coldness or detachment, but in truth, it's the final act of love she offers herself. She refuses to be pulled into cycles of blame or resentment. She understands that revenge binds her to pain, but dignity frees her from it. She is not interested in proving a point. She is interested in finding peace. And that peace cannot exist in a place where she is not seen, heard, or valued. In leaving, she is not trying to hurt him. She's trying to heal herself. She knows that staying would continue a pattern where she shrinks to make space for someone else's comfort. So, she reclaims her voice, her boundaries, her future. Her walk is not one of pride but of necessity. It is a statement that her heart is not a doormat, and her presence is not a guarantee. She leaves because at some point, choosing herself becomes the only choice left. And that choice, though painful, is what finally restores her dignity. The wise learn before they lose. They pay attention to the subtle shifts in tone, the growing silences, the change in her eyes when she begins to feel unseen. They don't wait until she's walking out the door to understand what she was worth. Instead, they listen when she speaks, even when her words are quiet. They notice the effort she puts in, not just grand gestures, but the little things that build the emotional foundation of the relationship. The wise understand that love isn't sustained by momentum alone. It requires maintenance, presence, and intentional care. In a world where people are often more reactive than reflective, many only understand the value of what they had once it's gone. They look back, piecing together moments they once overlooked, and wish they had done more. But the wise don't rely on hindsight to open their eyes. They practice awareness in the present. They see that when a woman is giving, loving, and investing herself, it is not something to be expected or taken lightly. They recognize that her patience is a sign of commitment, not permission to be careless. They read between the lines and respond before the distance becomes permanent. The wise know that emotional withdrawal is not sudden. It builds slowly. She may start with soft hints, gentle pleas for connection, expressions of hurt disguised as questions. The man who is wise hears her before she goes silent. He understands that when she begins to retreat, it's not manipulation, it's self-protection. He doesn't wait for her to beg or to break. Instead, he steps up, not out of fear, but out of love and responsibility. He nurtures the relationship before the cracks become too deep. He acts before regret becomes the only thing left to feel. Learning before loss requires humility. It means admitting that being loved is not the same as being entitled to love. The wise are teachable. They don't let ego blind them to the impact of their choices. They reflect, apologize, and adapt. They know that relationships are not immune to neglect, and that even the strongest partner can grow tired of being the only one trying. So they show up consistently, emotionally, and sincerely. They don't wait until her love has faded to remember how much it mattered. Wisdom also means choosing gratitude over complacency. The wise cherish the woman who chooses to stay, not because she has to, but because she wants to. They don't romanticize the chase. They honor the keeping. They find joy not just in winning her over, but in continuing to earn her trust, her respect, and her affection every day. They understand that love isn't a one-time achievement. It's a daily practice. And because of that, they rarely face the kind of regret that keeps others up at night. They learn before they lose, and in doing so, they hold on to something that many only realize was priceless after it's too late.